Boom! An enigmatic pause just as we go live across the World Wide Web. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Chris Grimes. What's your story? I am the curator and host of the Good Listening To show, Stories of Distinction and Genius, the show in which I invite movers, makers, shakers, mavericks, influencers, and also personal heroes into a clearing or serious happy place of my guests' choosing as they all arrive to share with us their stories of distinction and genius. And I'm absolutely enthralled, actually, to welcome Nigel Risner, who I saw speak at the Entrepreneurs Convention on the 29th of September. You're enigmatically known as the Chief Zookeeper. It's a jungle out there. We're all a bunch of animals, and thanks for showing up, you bunch of filthy animals, as one quote from a film has it. And Nigel, I know, will unpack why it's a jungle out there and why, very enigmatically, your main cut and thrust is that you are the Chief Zookeeper. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great delight, pleasure and privilege to welcome Nigel Risner. You're all clapping, I know that, but for you, Nigel,
what a wonderful introduction. How kind of you.
Well, you're very welcome. And I came and shook your hand after I'd seen you speak. And I say again, enigmatically, you were fantastic at the Entrepreneurs Convention. Just to blow some happy smoke at you, of all the speakers that I saw over the 2-day event, you were my favorite. And you also said yes straight away as soon as I shook your hand. Not everybody does, but I noticed, obviously, you don't say yes to everything, but I love the immediacy of the exchange. You said, do you want me to be in your podcast? Yes. And then here we are a couple of months later. And your hit rate is astonishing, because every time I've been in touch with you, and we've been, tending the journey to now, you've either been about to go on stage or about to go coaching. I think my assumption, and you can put me right, is you've probably done about 30 different speaking events since I saw you 2 months ago.
In 9 different countries.
Which is, I congratulate you, and how astonishing. And I just need to give the final bit of happy smoke before I promise to bring you in, because I'm really, really looking forward to curating you through the uniqueness of my storytelling structure. You're about turning limited people limitless. And rather humorously, I like to think, I said that's not just a change of company status in what you bring about. But as you said, 9 different countries. So just talk us through what you've been up to in the last month.
So we've been to San Diego, we've been to Orlando in Florida, we've been to Latvia, we've been to Scotland, and some other places which I'm not going to mention, but I've been around, and obviously in the UK, and audiences from 3 to 3,000, and lots of fun, as well as coaching and being a grandpa to 4 amazing grandchildren and a husband to a wonderful wife. We've been married 40 years. So a lot has been going on.
And you mentioned from 3 to 3,000. I'm just going to hook on that, because what's really brilliant about you is you drive everyone from CEOs to school children to ignite excitement and action in their life. So it's a really powerful imperative. We're all a bunch of animals. We all know that. All behavior reverts back to the playground, transactional analysis and all that shebang. But I'm just going to love you talking about your animal kingdom as you describe it as being.
Well, it's not even just so much about the animal kingdom. It's about recognizing that people are different, not difficult. But what we've decided is people are very difficult. And if you really realize that, animals in the wild are not that complicated. They have a role. People know what it is. There are zoos. I've done many safaris. That if you understand what people do, what people like, and then you look after them in their style, it is not complicated to work with animals.
Yes. And then I love how uncompromisingly direct you've been credited as being as well. You're not there just to sort of blow happy smoke at your audiences. You're there to really get up in people's grills and challenge us as to how to get the best from relationships around us within the zoo of mankind.
My life changed when I stopped being applause orientated and becoming results orientated. And what tends to happen is what we want is instant gratification. Well, after 27 years of speaking and speaking to nearly 4 million people, I have a number of testimonials, and I know there's 2% of the world who hate me, and I'm okay with that now, because it doesn't matter what you do, there's going to be a group of people that don't like what you do. And
I love the maths of that.
And if you know about Leo Buscaglia, Buscaglia said, if you love apple pies and someone gives you if you love apples and someone gives you a pear, doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not what you like. And I appreciate that not everyone is going to get me. And I'm okay with that now because I'm a bit more mature. Not yet mature, but I'm getting more mature.
And I love the fact that you've tuned into it's only, I mean, what a hit rate. If only 2% of the world hate you, I mean, most of the world love or dine out on the Marmite effect. You're either going to love me or hate me. And that's more of a 50-50 dynamic. I saw a speaker yesterday, actually, who was as heralded as being Marmite. And actually, in truth, in the end, I thought they were a bit Vegemite. I was a bit meh by the end of it, which is just an opinion. But I love the fact that we need lovers, we need haters, and super fans and no fans is fine.
But it's not even just about super fans. There are I'm responsible to the audience. I'm not responsible for the audience. So I appreciate. I'm going to share a simple message, and it's pretty simple. Some people won't get it. Some people don't want to get it, and there are some people who'd much rather be right than happy. Well, I've got the time to play with that because it doesn't matter what you do. They've got their own personal story, or they're going through their own personal tragedy, and everyone's got their own story. I've just made a decision. If I can get a majority of people not only understanding what I've shared, but taking action, I've done my job.
I love that. Also, the animal kingdom shtick, if I may describe it as that, the best communicators, the best stand-up comedians, a lot of people have a shtick. How long in your wealth of experience have you decided that it's about animalistic behavior as the analogy that you love, which I think is really powerful?
So I didn't do it for about 5 years, but I was at Whipsnade Zoo doing a presentation for the British Junior Chamber of Commerce. And I saw this guy with a large trestle table and, with about 9 different buckets labeled different foods for the elephants, for the lions, for the monkeys. And all of a sudden, you get this light bulb moment where you're thinking, this guy knows what food to feed the animals to get the best results for them. And there's lots of communication tools out there, which are brilliant, by the way. There are lots. And whether it's Myers-Briggs, Belbin, DISC, Insight, Color, there's thousands. The tragedy is, and I've trained lots of speakers who've done lots of courses, about halfway through a course, I'll often say to them, do you know my style? And their reply will be, I know mine. Well, unless you're talking to yourself, it doesn't matter who your style is.
Yes.
I need to understand that you, Chris, are a dolphin with elephant tendencies. Okay, so you're kind, you're gentle, you're caring, but there's a bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Precision, the way you work, and you have a structure and a system. I don't work that way. I'm right off on the skinny branches. So as long as we both understand that you need to ask me some simple questions and I need to give you some detailed responses, we're going to be there. The tragedy, most people don't listen very well.
You listen brilliantly, because I must say I'm going to take a compliment from you describing me exactly as I would perceive myself as a dolphin, having listened to you, a dolphin with elephant tendencies. By the way, that's why I took the decision. You may not have had the time. You've been incredibly busy. I sent you a podcast I'd been on recently with a beautiful animalistic title called Giraffes Don't Eat Steak, which is a beautiful of itself animalistic analogy, because if you go to a field of giraffes with a steak, they're not going to even give you a second glance.
But the lions will eat it. Okay. And the tragedy is, what we do is, if we've only got steak, we give steak to all the animals, including the dolphins and the elephants and whatever. And then you wonder why your message only lands by 25%. If, by the way, all 25%, which is 100% of the lions, get it, which they won't. So now you've delivered prime steak to your 4 animals or 6 animals, whatever, however you choose. And 90% of that percentage will get it. So my maths isn't that good. But 90% of 25% is about 21, okay, or 22. So of the 100%, you've got 22% response. And we think that's good enough because we've given them prime steak at the top end of the market. 75% then are part of what I call the BMW club. They bitch, moan, and whine that they're not listened to.
Yes.
And you have to then appreciate, so was it my delivery? Well, your delivery was great, but you just delivered the wrong stuff. I don't want steak. I need bananas. You want tuna fish and occasionally vegetation, and the lions want raw meat. It's not that complicated.
And
if you look behind me, you'll see what people give me. Okay.
They give you chocolate.
If you're not watching this live or you're hearing it, there's lots of bars of Cadbury's chocolate with Zookeeper, Chief Zookeeper, #1 Zookeeper, Mentor, there's monkeys, whatever. I know what I like, but giving me dark chocolate and giving me a bottle of champagne is wasted. I don't do that. But too often, what we do is we make it simple and we buy a box of something and we wonder why half our teams aren't happy.
And do you know what? As a parallel universe, recently at an exhibition for one of my series strand called Legacy Life Reflections, I was exactly pondering what to give people. And because it's about recording life stories of those that we love for posterity, I thought about granddads, nanas, uncles, aunts. I ended up giving away either Werther's Originals, Mint Humbugs, or Devon Toffees, because that's the nom 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 stuff that your nan, your gran, your uncle your Aunt Fanny would have had back in the day. Suddenly I struck on it because it was simple. And I did notice that people give you your own Zookeeper emblazoned dairy milk chocolate. I mean, are you sponsored by Cadbury's? Because you should be.
I'm not. And what's interesting is that one of the finest chocolates in the world is Laderack, who are a client of mine. And, but it's not as easy to get. So I'm trying to make my life easier for my clients.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what you have to do is you have to make yourself. One of the reasons why people like working with me, and a bit like, you asked me a question, I said, yes, as long as I'm in the country and I've got some time, I'll do it. Because the question is, say no to the good, but yes to the great. And I listened to what you said and I thought, this sounds interesting. And providing our timings work, the answer is yes. I don't say yes to everything for a number of reasons, but I like to make life really simple. So even when we spoke at the conference that you heard me speak at, I finished within 7 seconds of my allotted time. Because there's a conference to run, there's lunch to be served, there's organizers, there's things to be done. Most speakers think they're bigger than the event.
Completely, yes.
Be kind, be nice, be gentle, deliver what you say and get off.
And of your own methodology, you're the monkey in the jungle. You kept saying again and again, I am the monkey.
Well, that's because I just need basic stuff. If you give me a detailed program, I'm never going to read it. And it's not that I don't want to read it. When I don't have time and I can't be asked, because, but I tell people in advance, just all I want is a breathing audience and a cup or a glass of water or a Diet Coke on stage. I don't think that's that complicated. If there's a laptop, that's a bonus. If there's a flip chart, that's a bonus. I've written on many hotel walls and been kicked out of a few. I just want to make the job simple for people, so there's no excuses.
I love that. And
if I remember one of my lines when I first started, I said,
yep,
I'd much prefer for you to take notice than take notes.
Yes.
And the reason I said that is I want people to be present. And we'll talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah.
But so people are so busy writing that they're not really in the room and they're not focused. And they're never going to do anything with the notes. Absolutely not. They're going to put them on the shelves, and we call that shelf development. It's never worked. It won't work. Why are you doing it?
Lovely. And just one other thing before I get you on the open road of the structure of the show. I've been really excited about riffing with you about animals because I use my own construct when I'm speaking, which is about dolphins, sharks, jellyfish, and goldfish, which could be familiar to you. It's a dominance versus warmth.
Yep, I understand.
And then the other thing I love riffing on is about whether somebody's a crocodile or a hippo. Everyone, is that one you've come across as well?
Yeah, but I'm gonna give you just something about hippos in a second. I'm going to look for something while we're talking, because there's a great line about. Hold on, I've got to find it. It will just make you laugh. What hippos stand for? Hold on.
Oh, may I?
Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes, yes.
Hippos stand for the highest paid person's opinion.
Exactly that, and we all defer to the.
But get ready for this: a zebra, zero evidence, but really arrogant.
Heavens to Betty Boothroyd.
I have a whole group of these where people send me, and the last one that just makes me laugh is a rhino, really here in name only.
Just awesome. So listen, should we do this?
Yes, go for it.
So there's going to be, as usual, I'm about 270 episodes in, and I'm going to announce live on air as well. Just about 3 days ago, when I started this 5 years ago, on day one, I said, the day I can get Michael Palin to say yes, we all know that I've made it. Michael Palin said yes 2 days ago. So there's something conspiring in the universe. But anyway, there is going to be a clearing, a tree, a lovely, juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's going to be some alchemy, some gold, a couple of random squirrels. Good luck working out the acronym of squirrels. And there's also going to be a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, a golden baton, and a cake. So it's all to play for. So, Nigel Risner, motivational speaker extraordinaire. What is, first of all, a clearing for you? Where would you say you get clutter-free, inspirational in the jungle of your life to get inspired?
So I get inspired two ways. I like walking my dog early in the morning in a field because everyone knows my dog. I have a dog. If you can imagine me as a dog, I have a dog just like me. Who's a bit nuts, a bit crazy, and he has. I call it a medical condition called 1 in 28 itis, and the 28th dog he can just lose his shit with, and it doesn't matter who the dog is, even if he knows them, he can just sometimes lose it. But the other place that I really get clarity, I go on holiday every year to the same hotel in Greece. And for 12 days, I'm treated like royalty, but it's not even much I'm treated like royalty. I don't have to do anything. I also work with the team when I'm there, but I could just sit and do nothing. And I don't have to go anywhere, and I don't have to visit anybody, and I don't have to make myself whatever. And even though 70% of the guests all come back, and I know lots of the people know my chair's just going to turn as I face the sun. And I need that, what I call doing nothing time. And I'm good at doing nothing, or I'm good at being phenomenally busy. So I'm at this oxymoron of I'm either manic or I'm brilliant at doing nothing.
And again, there's a parallel universe. When I first went to the Central School of Screech and Trauma, at my drama school where I did my teaching degree, I was analogized to being like an untrained Labrador, as in I'd come in, lots of energy, lick your face, hump your leg, do a shit in the corner, get bored and go somewhere else. So we have a parallel universe. I can imagine you as a dog. And I thank you for that 1 in 28. That's such a great story. Of 1 in 28 dogs he'll lose his shit with. What's your dog's name?
His name is Alfie, and he's a Labradoodle, and he's 10 and a half, and people think he's 2. And he is just amazing. But he does, and what is more amazing is he's amazing with my 4 grandchildren. So I have 4 grandsons, and sometimes the dog just leaves the room. He's just had too much. But he's amazing with them, which is all you ever hope for if you're going to have a dog, be good with the kids.
And I love the Greek retreat as well. You've got a choice now. We're either in the field with the dog, and I think we've dealt with what's their name again? Alfie. Yeah. So may we go on the Greek retreat? It's your choice, but I'm trying to
go for it.
So we're on a Greek veranda, and just to sort of put a flag in the sand, where are we in Greece? Not to give away your hotel of choice. But
we're in Lindos in Rhodes.
Love that.
And I need sun. I've never been skiing because I just don't like the cold. But I love sun, and I can sit in it from 8 in the morning till 7 at night very happily. When people say, I can't believe you're still sitting, because I'm good at just being, which confuses people.
Self-awareness is the holy grail. I love how self-aware you are. That is indeed wisdom. You know what you want what you know, and I'm going to sit there and face the sun for those many hours. I love that. So we're in Lindos in your wonderful veranda of choice. I'm assuming it's a veranda we're sat at, or could we be anywhere?
No, I'm by the pool. Have to be near water.
And anything in your hand, like a pina colada?
No, I don't drink. I just drink Diet Coke and water.
Love that. So we furnished you with Diet Coke, water. There we are by the pool. I'm now going to arrive, which I hope isn't too irritating, with a tree in your clearing. And I'm going to shake your tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. How'd you like these apples? And then this is where you've been kind enough to have thought about, or maybe you haven't, which is what I really enjoy about your spontaneity. You're going to have taken 5 minutes to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, Nigel Risner, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that never fail to grab your attention and borrow from the film Up. That's when the squirrels come in. And then the 1 is a quirky or unusual fact about you we couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us. It's not a memory test, so I'm going to curate you through the sort of downhill slalom ski of the episode. So first of all, 4 things that you'd like to say have shaped you, Nigel.
So I left school just before I was 16, and I knew that education wasn't for me, going further on to do A-levels, etc. And I've been blessed to meet very good people and be known. I've been blessed to meet very nice people and have people who've known me, who've introduced me to the right people. And that's one of the things that shaped me. So not even networking, having a presence that people knew what I was about was one thing.
Great.
Number 2 was I was in charge of the tuck shop at a very young age at a summer camp. And at the age of 12, I was going with the owner to cash and carry to organize what was needed. And I was trusted at a very young age to be able to run a shop. The third thing was before I had a major car accident when I was 15. And I was off school for nearly 4.5 months. But when I came back, everyone else had done a careers development. And my careers master, Mr. Callagher, got me a job interview with a guy called Conrad Morris. And I went to see him for the day and realized that that's what I wanted to be doing, was being in commercial work as such. And he said, as soon as your last exam is finished, I'd like you to start working with me. Well, my last exam was the 15th of June, and I started working on the 16th of June, and I wasn't 16 till the 2nd of July. And within minutes, I understood business. I understood what a phone was. I understood what a customer was. I understood what a client was. And then when I was 16, I joined a finance company that arranged commercial finance. And within 3 months, I needed an assistant, which was pretty difficult when you're only 16. But my boss knew that I had a flair for something. So at a very young age, I knew really what I wanted to do. And my hero was Sir John Harvey Jones. And if you remember the program Troubleshooter, I always had a dream that I'd be able to go into a business, I'd be paid to spend a day working on someone's business. And 10 years later, or it was even less than that, I was doing exactly that in a corporate clothing business. Someone paid me to spend a day walking around a factory.
With that beautiful, super objective perspective, Mr. Fixter, the monkeys in the building, to put things right.
Yep.
Great. These are phenomenally clear, succinct shapeages. Thank you. I think we could be on to shapeage number 3 now.
Sorry, I thought, is that different to what I just did?
No, after 4 different things that have shaped you. So have we done 4 already?
Yeah, we've done 4.
Get in. That's even quicker than I thought. Love that. It's my structure. I know what I'm doing. And now 3 things that inspire you, Nigel Risner.
3 things that inspire me. One was my father. My father was an optician who unfortunately died last year. But as an optician, he used to send reminders out when he was busy. And the idea that he never then was not busy is because when he was busy, he sent reminders out so that when the slower times, he'd have people coming in to see him. That was one of the things that inspired me. My mother, who was an absolute lunatic, and was slightly not well, but was very hardworking and pushed me beyond belief and allowed me to leave school because she saw something in me which I didn't see in me. And that's just unbelievable. And the third person who inspires me, and it's both my kids, but my son Daniel has mild cerebral palsy. And what he has achieved when there's been many odds against him for doing things, he drives, he's got a family, he runs a phenomenal speaker agency. And there are things that he does that just baffle me. And I'll give an example for you. He does his shoelaces up one-handed.
Wow.
You try that. And so I've got 2 amazing kids, Sasha, who now works with me and is a casting agent. But Daniel just does some things that just amaze me at times. I will come on to tennis in a minute, but he plays amazing tennis and he throws the ball up with his left hand and serves with his left hand.
Wow.
Instead of moaning about his cerebral palsy, he embraces his cerebral palsy.
Yes. And I have met him very briefly, and it's Leading Authorities is his speaker bureau. Is that right?
Yeah, he runs the UK and Ireland. His head office is in Washington, ironically, which is where he is right now in the States.
Yeah. And he did the main booking for the Entrepreneurs Circle Entrepreneurs
He
Convention.
booked nearly all the speakers for that event that you saw me at.
He is indeed phenomenally gifted. Wonderful that you mentioned Sasha as well. Fantastic. Are you? Do you have brothers and sisters as well?
I have an much older brother, as I like reminding him, who we work together, and now he does his own thing. But Andrew is my older brother by 2.5 years.
And congratulations also on your 4 lovely grandchildren that you mentioned well already. And now we're on to your squirrels. Again, great animalistic analogy here. What are your 2 monsters of distraction? This is borrowed from the film Up, where the dog goes, "Oh, squirrels." So this could be Alfie going, "Squirrels." So what are your 2 monsters of distraction?
Anything that catches my eye, that thinks it might be more interesting. And I have a habit of talking to people, and then in the corner of my eye, I think I need to speak to that person. And I have to be really aware, because I spend a lot of time telling people to be focused, but I can very easily lose focus when I think, oh, I need to speak to that. And I kind of do this, which is slightly weird.
You're
My other,
you're your own squirrel then. I love that.
yeah.
There's a squirrel within, ready to get distracted.
And I think the other is that there are times when I just can't be asked. And it's a problem, because there are things that I need to do and I just can't be asked. And so you avoid doing it. And it's a squirrel in my life, in your words. It's a bit like paying VAT. You know you've got to do it. So then you avoid it, and then you wait. And then you only get you get a reminder that you've got it, you've messed up. And if you do it a second time, you get a 10% fine of your VAT. Well, I've only ever had that once, thankfully, in 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's like, why would you wait that long? You know it's got to be paid.
Yes.
And there are times I'm a bit silly,
Yeah.
and that's where the monkey comes out of me, where I avoid doing things that it will take me 2 minutes to do.
Yes.
I get in my own way, if that's the actual wording you'd like to look for.
There's sort of an nth degree of self-sabotage in there that can occasionally surface. Yes.
Yeah.
May I also ask you, and you can say this is, you did mention in terms of a health scare you had recently when I first met you, that you'd recently had it. Well, I hope it wasn't too recently, but you'd had an aneurysm on stage, which sounded extraordinary. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, no, we can. So
Mm.
in 2016, I did 162 events in like 40 countries. And when you do that many events, and sometimes 2 countries in a day, so I did Prague in the morning and like Stockholm in the afternoon. And eventually your brain just says, that's just too much.
Yeah.
And there are 2 parts of the story. I went to Cumbria to do an event. And when I got out of the train station, I felt like someone had hit me over the head with a hammer. But I just thought I had a really bad headache. And then about a week later, I was working with the chief exec group in the recruitment business. And in the morning, apparently, I was very good. I have no memory of the whole of this day, by the way. In the morning, apparently, I was very good. And then in the afternoon, I repeated the same story 7 times.
Wow.
And asked the audience if anyone knew where I parked my car, if they had my car park ticket. And I then drove home, ringing my PA up about 12 times, asking for a postcode. The following day, I get a phone call from the organizers asking if I'm feeling better. And I replied, "Than what?" Because I didn't know I'd been ill the day before. And that was my big brain aneurysm moment. I then went to the hospital. Literally, it's 9 years ago today, literally.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
and I was kept in for the whole of Christmas, and I had a month's bed rest. And I was seconds away from the whole thing exploding. And so I had a brain aneurysm. And then in 2019, I then had a phone call from my brain surgeon saying, I think we might need to do some more surgery. And my reply was, if you're ringing me at 7:45 at night, I think we need to drop the word might, and let's just organize a date. And because I was on tour, I was doing a tour of Europe at the time, we had to plan my dates of coming in. And I was told I had about 4 weeks to work it out. So I spent 3 weeks traveling, went to the States, and then I came back, went straight to hospital. And my son was getting married in the August. And so we had to try and work it out that if I went in May, I should be fine by August. And I was. And then touch wood, as we say, I've been very good, other than suffering from terrible anemia. So I'm going to share this with you, Chris, and you'll laugh. Can you imagine what I'd be like if I had some energy?
Cool. Yes.
My energy levels are very, very low. And so I have iron infusions a lot. But at the moment, I'm on a real high.
Yes. Well, I'm so happy that you're the right way up, and what an extraordinary story. And thank you for sharing that too. The other slight interest in sharing that story is this show gets pulled into the UK Health Radio space, which then gives this a global audience reach across 54 countries of about 1.4 million listeners. So what you're saying, and also, are you kinder to yourself in terms of work rate now because of that?
So you would think so. I was very blessed when something occurred, which was called COVID. And I say that because so I had surgery in May 2019. By February 2020, I'd done another 20 countries. And because what we think is we're invincible and it's going to be okay. And COVID probably saved my life because I was then forced on the 23rd of March to stop. And I had like 80 engagements cancelled within seconds. And I did lots online, as you can imagine. And I'd never done a podcast or Zoom or WebEx or Teams. And I had to get a 14-year-old to try and teach me about what button to press and then share slides. And I'm still shit at that bit, but I do it occasionally. But it's like, I'm here, I'm talking to you, but there's something going on over here. Then I need to move another button to share slides. Then I can't find my face. I don't know where I am.
And I've got your face.
Yeah.
It's there.
No, but if I then had to share slides with you, it's like, I got to press a button here. Let's avoid that. So I often send my slides to clients. I let them organize it. So
Yes.
COVID nearly saved my life in that sense, because for 3 months, and I joke about it, I told my wife, I don't think I've ever slept with the same person for 100 days. I'd never been in the same bed with my wife for that many nights. And it came out slightly wrong, as you can imagine, when I said that. But COVID really was a blessing for me.
Yes.
Because after it took even though I went to Greece and I went to the Seychelles with an Iranian client, and I did lots of work, and I went to Lithuania, which was bizarre. I did Lithuania through COVID, 600 people in the room, all wearing masks. Okay, get ready for this. Spread out in a big auditorium. Then there was a coffee break, and 500 people were on top of each other without masks, which didn't make any sense at all.
There's a glitch in the universe.
COVID before COVID per se.
Yeah.
And I had shin splints. Didn't even know I'd had it. So I was like immune. But if I looked at that year, that started to bring me to slow down in 21, 22. And then the last 4 years, I've learned to say no, not as often as I should.
Yes.
But I'm not doing as many events. The tragedy is I still love what I do. And I say the tragedy is because I'd do every event if I could.
Yeah.
But there's a limit to what I can do because I've got grandchildren and I've got a wife who'd like to see me at home occasionally. And I've just started playing paddle, which is bizarre. And I'll come on to that, why that's bizarre.
Ooh, and I hope we're going to talk about tennis too. I've started doing paddle too. And did you know that the arc towards death is ping pong, tennis, paddle, and then pickleball, then death? Just so you know, that's an arc.
Well, we're not playing pickle. I can't stand the noise of that ball. But it's just bizarre that I'm now trying to find a quality of life. I'm not doing as well as I should because I love what I do. But December I love because I don't do after dinner speaking. So I virtually just do coaching, see my clients, do a bit of work. I've got a few engagements, but nothing like October and November. So I'm very pleased about that.
And is your event in Greece often your own company retreat? Is that why you go there?
No. I go on holiday there, but I just work with the hotel staff when I'm there.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for that slight segue. Now we're on to the final part of the tree shaking, which is a quirky or unusual fact about you. I know the aneurysm could have been that qualification, but a quirky or unusual fact you'd like to share that we couldn't possibly know about you until you told us.
So at 18 and a half, my boss asked me to stay on in his company. And if I stayed for a year, he'd give me a year sabbatical. I was too immature to know what that meant. And I went to Israel to do hotel management. That's what I thought I'd love to do. And within about 3 weeks, realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I started playing tennis, coaching tennis, and umpiring. And within a year and a half or 2 years, my hair was out here, by the way. If I get a chance to show you a picture, which I'll look for in a second, you'll laugh because I didn't have my hair cut for nearly 2 years. And when I tell you, when I show people my picture, which I'm just going to find for you this second.
I'm thinking Art Garfunkel or even bigger afro at the moment.
Bigger. Go bigger than that. And we are there.
Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp. Oh, that's a bit Samuel L. Jackson-y in Pulp. Yeah, that's great. What a wow.
Yes.
If anyone watching, that is a wow moment.
And I then looked after the Israel junior tennis team for 3 years when they came to Wimbledon and I got a player's pass at Wimbledon for 3 years.
Wow. Could we play tennis someday? Because I play tennis in a place in Bristol called Windmill Hill, and I'm the current Windmill Hill see what we're doing there champion. Thanks very much.
I'm delighted to. One of the things, I've now started playing paddle. We have a group called Paddle for Oldies, and if there's a drop shot, we all go, not for me. Okay.
I'd have got that in 1989, but not today.
But what's interesting is I never ever played doubles when I played tennis. So playing paddle with a partner is quite weird. And very often I'm doing this to him. I think that's yours. It's like,
After you, Sam. No, after
yes,
you. The
yes,
quintessential British game.
yeah.
Love that.
So, the reason I wanted to share that bit was because I was coaching kids, realizing that coaching was the future without knowing it was going to be my future. Because when you coach a kid in tennis, a lot of it is about playing the ball. And I don't know if you've read or seen Roger Federer's great video
Yes.
where he talks about he may have won 82% of his games, but he's only won 54% of his points. And it's learning to win the point or play the point and then let go of that point and play the next point. So when I talk about being in the room, which is what I'm known for, that you need to be where you need to be and play where you are and not worry about what's just gone on or worry about the next point. And that's why tennis, in a way, is a very easy game. You just got to play the point. And the average rally, unless you're Nadal, doesn't last that long.
And you should have written the inner game of tennis then, because of course that's where the world of coaching has been.
Well, Tim Galloway's book, The Inner Game of Tennis, is pretty simple. But golf and tennis, golf is even easier in a way, by the way, because you've got a little white ball, an enormous stick, and if you're right-handed, the target's always to your left. All you got to do is hit about 150 yards 3 times, and you're on the green. The problem is most people are so focused on the sand and the water and everything else that they whack the shit out of this little ball, hoping something's going to happen. All you got to do is just be low and slow. Most of life is exactly the same.
Yes.
Turn up, be professional, smile, deliver what you say you're going to deliver, and go home.
That's like the acting thing of just say your lines, don't bump into the furniture.
Exactly right.
Love that. That was the most monumentally beautiful shaking of your tree. We're out the canopy of your tree now. Now we stay in the clearing, which is still in Greece by the pool, Diet Coke, water. And now we're going to talk about alchemy and gold. So when you're at purpose and in flow, here's a bar of gold for you. What are you absolutely happiest doing, Nigel Risner, in what you're here to reveal to the world?
Sharing with an audience that say it can't be done, that it can be done, and that sometimes it can't be done, and that's also okay. So you can't have everything in life, because where would you put it, as Steve Wright would say? But what you can do is give it your absolute best and know that day you left nothing behind. So I talk about, and you'll like this, 211 versus 212. Now, if you don't know the acronym about this, have you ever boiled a kettle of water, Chris?
I have.
Have you ever watched a kettle of water boil?
I have.
Well, the second before it boils, it gets to 211 degrees Fahrenheit. That is very, very hot, but it is not boiling. Would you agree?
I would. Yep.
The second it boils, it's what I call 212 degrees Fahrenheit. 211 is great. And most of what you and I do, I'm going to be honest with you, is what I call a 211 day. And we do a great day, but I'll go back to something you said. Something you did with Michael Palin to get him to come on your show was a 212 day.
It bloody was, yes.
But that's not every day. You know, you meet the milkman, you go out, you do your job and you do whatever, and you do a very good job, but that's called 211. But occasionally, 5 or 6 times a year, you'll do a 212. You've got no idea why the interview went so well. You've got no idea why Michael said yes. You've got no idea why, but all your ducks are in a row. And I aim to play always 211, but there are times when I'm just in the moment, when I'm not looking for the audience, I'm just in flow, and I'm working for a cause and not applause. Does that make sense? And I have a 212 day, and people go to me, unbelievable what you did. We need you to come back with 9 other teams. And I've just had that with a major firm of estate agents, where something that I did was amazing, even though I thought I've done that many times. But I'm now on my 7th new client with them. And if I was to look back at the video, and I sometimes can, I can't see what I was doing different. But my energy was definitely different. And I probably turned up feeling different. And I've lost some weight since I did Entrepreneurs. I've lost 1.5 stones. I've got another 1.5 stones to go. But that's not what it was, because I performed well when we did that speech.
Yeah.
But the game is to see, when you have a 212 day, what was happening the day before, what was happening the hour before, because something changed in your approach, your language. and you weren't being what I call needy.
And it affirms the notion of the level of presence, how you show up. One of my favorite quotes about leadership is it's how you show up every single day. Wash, rinse, repeat, not in a dull way, but just keep showing up, be where your feet are, aspire to be present. And I've never heard the 211, 212 tilt. And I think it's profound.
So occasionally I'll say to somebody, how was your speech? And they'll go, it was really good. And a couple of my pals know, they'll go 211 or 212.
Yeah.
And occasionally I've done a 213, which is impossible if you get my drift. You can't have more than boiling water.
Yes.
And when you do a 213, you get 250 people come up to you, and you've sold 400 books, and you get 9 bookings before you've even left the room. That's just unusual. That's not I've got agents that work with me. I've got people who are doing it, but it just goes ballistic. And I've had a few of those in 25 years.
Wonderful. And I almost don't need to ask this, but when was your last 212 day?
About 4 weeks ago with a firm of estate agents.
And when was your last 213 day?
About a year ago.
I love the fact it's rare and it's beautiful and it's
precious. Yeah, I mean,
that's alchemy and gold right there.
You have boiling every single day, because then it's a bit like you need polarities between hot and cold. Not every single day is phenomenal, because you wouldn't know what a bad day was, and sometimes it's good to have a bad day because then you recognize what good days look like.
Which relates to you're only as good as your next interaction, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. Yes. We fish in very similar waters. This is lovely stuff you're attesting to. And now I'm going to award you with a cake, Nigel Risner. You get to put a cherry on the cake because this is the last storytelling suffused metaphor. But first of all, let's talk about cake. This is a dog's toy that I found that looks like a carrot cake. So I think Alfie might like this as well. Nom, 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 nom. So do you like cake, Nigel Risner?
Look at the shape. Look at the shape. There's the answer. Okay.
Well, you've laid off it for a bit because you've lost some weight. But what's your favourite cake?
It's got to be a cold. Get rid of this cold chocolate cake with cold custard, but lashings of custard. So when I go to a restaurant, I say, whatever you're thinking of serving me, it needs to be bigger.
Yes. It makes also sense why you keep getting these Zookeeper embossed Cadbury's slabs of chocolate as well. You're milk chocolate.
Yes, cold. Very good. You've remembered milk chocolate. Don't send me Bourneville.
And my dad, very relatably, was Mr. Custard as well. Custard and a bit of ice cream on there. Anyway, nom, 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 nom. So now you get to put a cherry on the cake with stuff like, what's a favourite inspirational quote, Nigel Risner, that's always given you succor and pulled you towards your future?
You have to do it by yourself, and you cannot do it alone.
Love that. Just say it again. I'm just deliberately reincorporating. I completely heard you.
You have to do it by yourself, and you cannot do it alone. So for both of us, you can't do this without a guest, and I can't do this without a phenomenal moderator, facilitator, which is what you are phenomenal at.
I'll take that, Happy Smoke. That was very generous of you. Thank you very much.
Well, no, because I've done a lot of these where I think if the questions had been better asked, I'd get a much better response. But if you ask me a shit question, you're going to get a shit response.
Earlier on today, when we both posted on LinkedIn, you rather enigmatically said, who knows where this will go? And just before that, Chris Grimes, who knows where this will go? I read that, Chris Grimes, who knows where this will go? But then I thought, oh, he means Chris Grimes, who knows where this will go? And I'm loving where it's going.
I failed English O level. Okay. I'm not very good with punctuation, you see. I know what I meant it to say. And then anyone who knows me will go, well, that's Nigel. He's a monkey.
He's a monkey. He's a monkey. And we love him for that. With the gift of hindsight now, what notes, help or advice would you give to a younger version of yourself? And you can decide how old you are when you arrive holographically to wrap yourself in your own arms and go, Nige. And then what would you tell yourself?
Probably to have gone to university, even though I had no idea what I was going to study. But going to university or doing further education gives you a framework and gives you some independence. So I left school before I was 16, and my tennis was my university bits. But I've been working since I've been 16. I'm 63 now, and that part of growing up in a different way, I think would have serviced me better. The other thing that I think probably was, and I haven't shared this part, but I had a very successful commercial finance company, and I bought my partner out too early because of ego. And if I looked back now, I would not have bought him out and had venture capital in my business at 26. But what happens is we're too immature to understand what's going on. I didn't have a Nigel Bottrell in my life. I didn't have an entrepreneur circle. I didn't have guidance and coaching then because I thought I knew it. And I was very good at what I was doing, but I was immature in my business savvy side of long-term future. So I wouldn't have bought my partner out when I did, because my whole life changed when you have venture capital in your business, because now you just work for venture capitalists.
Yeah. Yes. And you've got rid of that particular lodestone now by the sound of it.
Well, I gave up my second finance company in 2000 to be full-time as a speaker. So I've been on the road since 1997, but full-time since 2000.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone to be self-employed. There are great people to work for. But if you are going to have a successful business, you need to be really careful who you get into bed with.
And to your point about, I wish I'd gone to university, my instinct was to say au contraire, because your graduation in the School of Life, beginning at 16 or a few years before, at the age of 12 in the tuck shop, it's all there. You are the archetypal entrepreneur right there, because you're going to be self-sufficient and you're going to have stealth to be able to cope autonomously.
But what university can give you is a framework for 3-4 years with other people, off-site, off from parents, in a different town. And I was lucky that I went to Israel, and that was my university as such. So I met a whole different group of people. And, you know, I could have stayed out longer, but I was offered a phenomenal job back in the UK, and it was too good to give up.
Yeah.
Without going into further stories about it.
And may I ask, do you still have tennis connections? Because I've been trying to I love tennis, and I would love to get some big bag of tennis players to have a chat with me as well. I was trying to get Andy Murray's mum to come in as a way to.
I don't, only because for the last 20 years, I've virtually not played. Yeah. And I pick up a racket occasionally to play with someone, but I'm always in coach mode. And so my whole life I've been a coach. I've realized that I've always been watching other people. And, you know, if you understand about tennis, it's no different to business. If you just change someone's grip a quarter of an inch, and you change their stance a quarter of an inch, and you get them to focus on the ball just for a quarter of a second longer, their lives change. And if you look at people's businesses, if they just responded a second earlier and they checked their email a second longer and they just were present, their business will change as well. So there's many and if you do the real sicky one, if you serve well, there's a good chance you win 50% of your points. So serve well, return phone calls, and don't try and win too quickly.
And the beautiful parallel in servant leadership there. Serve well, the clues in the wording there. Love that. Also, I love the fact you were in a game of tennising before it was in a game of tennis by Timothy Galway. That's fantastic.
Well, he has a great formula, which is P equals P minus I, which you may have read or remember, which is performance equals potential less interference. So trust your team, let them get on with it, and don't interfere. Get out their own way.
Boom. We're ramping up shortly to talk about Shakespeare. In fact, sorry, I forgot one other question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given by somebody else? Big dog, big fleas. I'm going to go.
So my coach was a guy called Jack Canfield in America, who wrote the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I did a presentation and a few people weren't happy, which is not unusual the way I speak. And he said to me, if you put yourself out there and you're a big dog, that you get big fleas, just remember that. And again, one of those life-changing moments, because Jack, you know, multi-millionaire, came to the UK, stayed with me, and shared a number of things that just were life-changing. Any examples of that? That's just such a good hook. Be where you need to be and don't rush off. Boom.
I know you can keep on giving. We're ramping up to talk about Shakespeare in a minute, but just before we get there, this is the pass the golden baton moment, please. Now we've experienced this from within. Who do you think, in order to keep the golden thread of the storytelling going, would you most like to pass the golden baton along to for me to get my little sort of teethy jowls into?
So, who would I think would be great for you to interview? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, in a nutshell, but it's invoking your network as to what I'm trying to achieve with the show and who would be great for the audience. A compliment from you and great for me. It's winner, winner, chicken dinner, to unquote what the Jack Canfield book is.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to ask me another question. I'm going to come back to you on that because I want to make sure I give you the right person, not just some flippant answer.
Thank you. And now, inspired by Shakespeare, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. This is because of my acting background. And this is the actual book I bought myself. It's not a first folio. When I went to the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, this says 16986 in the margin. It's well thumbed, but this is to borrow from the 7 Ages of Man's speech now to talk about legacy, Nigel Risner. When all is said and done, how would you most like to be remembered?
That if you're in the room, be in the room. I want people to really think about that every time Nigel says, I mean, I meet people 20 years on and I'm at the airport and someone goes, are you in the room? And I think, thank God you've heard something. And then forget the Zookeeper stuff in that sense, because if you're in the room, what tends to happen is you can then listen to communication. If you're in the room, you can really be present for people. It's about really understanding that life's not that complicated. We've just made it complicated to give us a great excuse not to succeed. So just be where you need to be. Love. So right now, the most important person in my life is you, Chris, because you're here. In about half an hour, I'm sure a number of my grandchildren are going to come home. And then it's not that I don't love you, Chris, but you're not there. And what I don't want to be doing is saying, I wish I'd have done that with Chris, because then I'm not with my kids and I still haven't done the interview. And too often we're in regret or resentment too late to change the facts. So acknowledge that you can do the best you can with the information you've got, and then just be where you need to be.
And be in the room. Beautiful. We've got a very exciting moment now, which is show us your QR code, please. So for anyone watching, not just listening, we're going to first of all point to Nigel Risner's website, which unsurprisingly is nigelrisner.com. Would you like to say anything about what we'll find there in you turning limited people limitless, Nigel?
You'll see some videos. You'll see a little shop for books. And if they put in the code PIVOT, they get a discount. I don't know how that works, but you put in the PIVOT code, PIVOT, and you get a discount. But you'll just see a reminder about, and there's a quiz, there's an animal quiz there. Do both quizzes, because sometimes you lie on the information. You know, you just want to make sure you get it right.
Lovely. And then the other one is Nigel Risner connecting with him on LinkedIn. Here's the second. Show us your QR code, please, which is you being very dynamic. Words that whip up, listening into action, energized and passionate. Boom. There you go. So this is for anyone. So what can we find out about you on LinkedIn if we're just listening and not able to scan the QR code?
Occasionally I do little stories or thoughts for the day, the week, the month. And there's some interesting stuff there because I just share from the heart what I see and what I hear. And if I see something great, I share it. And if I see something not great, I also share it. So I think people need to be called out.
Love that. I'm blessed to be on Facebook with you as well, and I do sincerely love all your posting. It is very on brand. It's very like that's what Nigel thinks today, which is great.
I just do that. But I do it because my monkey brain goes, I've seen something. This is funny, or it's sad, or it's tragic, or it's heroic. You should have a look at this.
Just a couple of announcements from me. If you'd like to talk about having a guest appearance in the show too, my website is thegoodlisteningtoshow.com. There's a quick sort of flash of the QR code. The clue's in the title, thegoodlisteningtoshow.com. Also very profoundly and preciously to me, I've got a very special series strand that I've been getting help with Nigel Bottrell in his inner circle, entrepreneur circle, which is called legacylifereflections.com. Nigel, you mentioned your own dad passed a year ago. So did mine. But 5 years ago, I recorded my dad, Colin Grimes, in the halcyon days of his 80s for something called legacylifereflections.com, which is using this unique storytelling structure, which has been likened to having a day spa for your brain in an oasis of kindness. go me. But this uses this structure to record either your own story or the story of somebody really precious to you for posterity. That's legacylifereflections.com. Back to you, Nigel. Deliberately epic coachy question, which I hope you'll enjoy now at the very, very end. As this has been your moment in the sunshine in the Good Listening To show, stories of distinction and genius, is there anything else, Nigel Risner, you'd like to say?
Just make sure that when you go to bed at night, well, I'll give you a clue. There are 4 things you should do, and that is to drink, steal, swear, and lie. They're the 4 values I work to. So you need to drink from the fountains of knowledge that are constantly flowing into our books and libraries. All great leaders are readers. Swear to make this the best day of your life. You never know it's going to be your last. This is not a dress rehearsal for the rest of your life. Steal a little time each and every day to do something for someone else. Even when you know you won't get the credit, give as gain. But the big one is when you lie down in bed tonight, thank your God that you've got dreams and you can make them possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my privilege to speak to Nigel Risner, the chief zookeeper. This could be a bit Captain's Log supplemental, but would you rather give me the golden baton pass offline? Do you want to think about it longer?
I prefer to, because I don't want to just make up some name, if that's okay with you.
That's completely fine with me. So thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so happy you said yes. And thank you for anyone watching or listening. I've been Chris Grimes, but most importantly, this has been Nigel Risner. Anything else you'd like to say, Nigel?
Thank you for being a phenomenal facilitator, because you've asked in the right way to someone like me some easy questions.
One chimp brain to another. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Good night. Stop recording.